I wanted to follow up today around this theme of pushing through that I spoke about a few posts ago, and what we can do rather than push through. Because if we are feeling disconnected from our body, if we don't know what we need, if we are noticing that we are a lot in our minds thinking, repeating the same worries, or getting stuck in the same thought patterns, we can really start to push ourselves to do things, not feel into what we actually need, and just push ourselves through whatever we have planned to do. And the way this can show up in our business is by just sticking with whatever we have, like the next action steps we have. And let me be clear here, I'm not suggesting to never follow your action steps, to not take action, to not create things, to not do things, but I am suggesting that we are being careful around how we do things, and that we are being really, that we're tending to ourselves, that we're checking in with ourselves, that we're slowing down. This is an invitation to slow down and notice, what do you actually need? What does your business actually need? Because sometimes we plan something and then a few weeks or months later, things have shifted and we need something different. And unless we pause and check in with ourselves, we don't always notice, and then we can have this tendency to just push through and do whatever we have planned, sometimes because there are other people involved, or just because in our minds we have had this idea we need to arrive there, or this needs to happen, rather than checking in with, what do I actually need, what has changed, what is showing up for me. So my invitation for you today is to pause and check in with yourself. And as always, if you know me, the invitation is to do this from the body rather than from the mind. So not to start analyzing, what do I need to change, what do I think about this, but to actually allow yourself to connect with your body, connect with your feelings, connect with whatever is present for you, and notice, what are my next steps? This might be around a specific project you're doing, or some specific plan you have, collaboration with someone, or the next thing you're launching. And just stay with it for a moment. Let yourself connect emotionally and notice what's present in your body. Notice if there are any sort of sensations coming up, if you feel any sort of pressure, if there's anything that feels like it might be feeling like it's off, or maybe it's making you tired, or maybe it's just making you uncomfortable. It can also be pleasant sensations, pleasant emotions. It can be excitement or joy that can really show us if we're on the right path. If something feels really excited or really aligned, or you can clearly see your next steps, this can also really be an indication that you are on the right track. Whereas if something feels less aligned and feels off, or just somehow feels like it doesn't feel like the right next thing to do, it can be worth it to check in and just notice, what do I need? What do I need to adjust? Do I maybe need more support? Do I need to talk this through with someone? Do I need to add something? Do I need to take something away? Is there something that can be really helpful for me, rather than just pushing through and doing whatever we have planned to do? It's also worth noticing if what comes up for you are responses to old wounds. So whether it's fear or shame coming up, because just because something doesn't feel easy doesn't mean that it's not the right thing for us, but it does mean that it's worth looking at if there's something we can adjust. So let's say you're checking in with yourself and there's a lot of fear coming up. It's worth noticing how you can meet that fear. Notice if, again, is there something that can help me be in communication with this fear? Is there some information I don't have? Is there some support I don't have? Is there something that can make my next steps easier, rather than trying to push through the fear, trying to soften and then be more emotionally flexible, softening more, being more present with the fear, rather than trying to just push through and do whatever you have planned. As always, this is a practice, and it's something that we can get better at with time. So it's worth noticing how patient you are with this practice, because it's not something that necessarily feels easy from the beginning. If you're not used to checking in with yourself, you might not even notice what you're feeling, or it might not even make sense to check in with yourself. And this doesn't mean that it doesn't work. It means that it's something that you have to practice. So my invitation for you today is to practice checking in with yourself and to notice what you notice. Notice if there's something coming up that can feel helpful for you, and notice if there's something that you might need to adjust in your next steps.